Hello everyone, Bennett is here. Today we'll be talking about, just as I said before, the leader of Benny's adventure team, Bennett himself. Without further ado, let's start this adventure. Looks like that might have been a bad pun. I'm just gonna start the video. Bennett is a playable pyro character in Genshin Impact. Orphan discovered by an elderly adventurer as a baby, Bennett was raised in Mondstadt's Adventurers Guild. He is the one and only member of the Bennett adventure team, as everyone else left the team after experiencing a constant of misfortune that follows him. So sad. Bennett is a male character. His weapon is a sword and his element is pyro. His birthday is February 29th, and his constellation is the Rota Calaminus. Bennett's nation is Mondstadt, and his affliction is with the Adventurers Guild. Bennett's favorite food is the Trovat charred egg. He was released as a playable character on September 28th, 2020. Bennett goes by two titles, Trail of Fire and Leader of Bennett's Adventure Team. Benny's adventure team. Bennett is a well-behaved person. I'll bet he somehow has terrible luck attributed to him. His bad luck causes all types of misfortune to befall either him or others nearby. He is obviously to the fact that his former members had left him because of said luck. Despite this, Bennett is very optimistic and continues to show a positive outlook on life, attributed to the fact that despite the odds, he somehow manages to push through them. He interprets his vision as a sign that the gods have not given up on him. Bennett is a young man who is often covered in scrapes due to his various misadventures. He has pale ash gray hair, light tan skin, and bright green eyes, usually seen wearing his goggles on his head. He has a prominent scar on his left shoulder and seems to be purposely injured, resulting again due to his adventures and his categorized bad luck. Bennett wears navy curved shorts and a sleeveless cream-colored jacket with blue and gold details, a leather belt, a bag holding his vision attached to it, gloves, and a yellow bandana tied around his arm on the right. Strike of Fortune is Bennett's normal attack. It can perform up to 5 ripple strikes. The charge attack consumes a certain amount of stamina that can release 2 ripple sword swings. And the pulmonary attack plunges from mid-air to strike the ground below, damaging opponents along the path and dealing with AoE damage upon impact. Passion Overload is Bennett's elemental skill. Bennett can concentrate the spirit of adventure and pyro into a blade. Depending on how long he changes for different effects will occur. It states that if you tap a single swift flame strike, it can deal with pyro damage will happen. If you hold for a short amount of time, it charges up, resulting in different effects when unleashing based on charge level. There are only 2 levels. Level 1 strikes twice, dealing pyro damage and launching opponents. Level 2 unleashes 3 constructive attacks that deal with impressive pyro damage, but the last attack triggers an explosion, and the result launches both Benny and the enemy. Bennett takes no damage from the being launched, but can take fall damage if he falls down a cliff. So watch out for cliffs when you're playing as Bennett. Fantastic Voyage is Bennett's elemental burst. Bennett performs a jumping slam attack that deals with pyro damage, creating an inspiration field for 12 seconds. Inspiration field includes if the health of a character with the AoE is equal to or falls below 70%, their health will regenerate each second. The amount of HP restored scales of Bennett's max HP. If the health of a character within the AoE is higher than 70%, they gain a ATK bonus that scales beneath a Bennett's base ATK and improves characters with an AoE in Pyro. Rekindle is Bennett's first acceleration passive skill. It decreases Passion Overload CD by 20%. Fear Not is Bennett's fourth electrization passive and inside Fantastic Voyage's circle, Passion Overload CD is decreased by 50%, and Bennett couldn't be launched by this skill's explosion. It should be safe. It's Bennett's utility passive skill. Then detached at the explosion and Mondstadt time consumed is reduced by 25%. Benny's adventure team is an expiration to the norm in the Adventurers Guild Mondstadt branch. Initially, the term mechanism requiring at least 3 or 4 regardments in each term was set up to promote mural support and prevent accidents. As for Benny's adventure team, however, its only regular member has been Bennett himself. The lack of team members is usually his everything to do with Bennett's infamous bad luck. However, being the passionate adventurer he is, Bennett never feels lonely. Well, maybe once or twice sometimes. The adventurer Jack was the first victim of Benny's adventure team. Just a few feet away from the treasure, an extremely rare geo-turbulence occurred, tearing the group apart and opening a bottomless chasm right before everyone's eyes. So close, yet so far, like love. Jack only suffered minor injuries, but he was never the same as the adventurer thereafter. The event seemed to have left him with a broken heart. Another member by the name of Royce heard someone shout, "Hey ho!" before losing consciousness in a huge explosion. The culprit Clee was sentenced to confinement for several days for mistaking the cave as the adventurers were still exploring for a giant rabbit hole and blowing it up. Licker suffered a severe bout of dysphagia from the week after joining the team. Although it turned out to be food poisoning, he inserted that this was because of Bennett's bad luck. They'll be back. They're just on leave. Please don't invalidate my team's recognition with the guild. Seeing that Bennett beg and plead before her eyes, Catherine sighed and decided to spare him the truth that his teammates had long jumped a ship. There was once a parchment of complete despair, a parchment that had all but swallowed an old adventurer. Scorching flames scaled his skin, the deafening thunder almost rippled his eardrums, and the howling winds threatened to rip his soul from him. The end of his hellish journey, what was waited for him at the end, was a baby. Old adventurer thought he was the first living being to pass through the hell on Earth, but how could he explain that which lay before him? At that moment, it hit him, and he believed it to be true. This baby must be a child abandoned by the world itself. Though there were no mighty artifacts, jewelry, or gold, the old man's face did not seem too disappointed in the slight, for he regarded this baby, whose life huge by the mere dread, to be his treasure. This child is what is meant to find on this journey, he thought, as he took the baby into his arms, even if what he was about to do upset the will of the world, he was unfair. The old adventurer died from severe injuries before being able to tell this story, leaving only the child he saved. On his deathbed, he only managed 4 final words: will, adventure, and final treasure. Several single, childless old adventurers in the Adventurers Guild of Mondstadt raised child as their own and named him Bennett. Being raised by the guild, Bennett referred to everyone as Dad. Dad, your duties fell into the bowl. Dad, you should stop wearing that old leather armor. Where did your armigants I brought you? Dad, it's raining, but you better keep a distance from me or you'll be struck by lightning. Taking care of all his enraging dads, who have no family, has taken up most of his time outside adventuring. The dads certainly have found a treasure, haha. Cyrus the guildmaster laughed, giving Bennett a pat on the head. Though he was unlucky himself, he can at least try to bring luck to those he cares about. At least that's how Bennett feels. Bennett, the unlucky, still strives to find his own lucky treasure through his series of misfortune events. Oz the Raven, officials familiar, said Bennett is the most treacherous young man in the world. Indeed, Bennett shares a bad luck throughout his life can be seen from his scars, old and new. Attacked by monsters, buried in collapsed ruins, falling off cliffs, a wealth of misfortune events that has taught Bennett how to deal with more of them in the future. Barbara, the countess at the Church of Favonius, was once surprised at how skilled Bennett is at treating dislocated joints. Although another gift from his orders is a new jaw-dropping talent for combat. Look at his moves, does that hurt? Grandmaster Barca of the Knights was extremely ingrated after seeing Bennett in combat. It's not that Bennett doesn't feel pain, he has simply gotten used to it. He adapted to the pain as others would, but patient smells or blinding sight. Therefore, the way Bennett divides into battles head-on without revelation has become something for a signature of his. What does death mean exactly? Always walking to the dim line between life and death, Bennett can't help but wonder. Bennett knows that the old adventurer who saved him has left many praiseworthy stories and legends after his death. He knows that an adventurer will not have weeping at their funerals, only torch made their names by their comrades. He knows to the adventurers of Mondstadt, a good death comes at the end of a life given to the pursuit of treasure and the secrets of the world. Once over, their souls are brought back to their homeland by Barbados. He once feared death. However, after plunging on his matter some more, he knew that feels death made by something fortunate for an adventurer, not to the fortunate that anything to do with him. On to the next treasure. In doubt, Bennett puts his digging business behind him. Whenever he suffers severe injuries such as fractured or expensive loss of blood, Bennett will go to the cathedral to seek treatment from the Countess Barbara. Sorry, it's me again, Bennett will say, scratching the head of him. Barbara, however, will just shake her hand and with a, let's deal with those scratches as well. She will toss him some adhesive bandages. Such displays of certain may be independent, but they have a special place in Bennett's heart. He sticks those bandages on his wounds with the care of one painting medals of these chests, but before thanking for her wonderful thought of hard work. Bennett keeps many of the bandages in his utility pouch when he goes on his adventures. Once he gets from his dad's, from Barbara, from Kathleen, and from adventurers he sometimes meets by any chance after getting injured. Those any tokens of goodwill from a tragedy collection of fair fortune include to Bennett. Well, since everyone's by my side, I guess not that unlucky after all. Bennett's passion for adventure is unstoppable. He wants to considerably explore, challenge, sweat it out, and eventually grow old on the adventure path. But there was once when he met a true crisis. Just as the old adventurer had so long ago, Bennett was in a predicament that would cause any other person to despair. Losing lots of this blood, not good. But Bennett did not stop. There's no reason to turn back, he thought. However, he just knew that all the agonizing misfortune he had suffered up till this point was for the sake of overcoming the predecessor's position. But at the end of his hellish journey, what he found at the end was nothing at all. Returning empty-handed. It's part of the adventure, I don't mind. At least his tidy wounded emotions came loose, allowing his many injuries to rob him of his consciousness, and he collapsed. When he reawakened, he found that his wounds had been criticalized by a mysterious flame, stopping both the bleeding and the pain. A jewel pulsated warmly in the palm of his hand, its rhythm in the time with the heartbeat in his chest, the beating heart of an adventurer. This was not the mercy of the world, or that the fate took pity on him. Rather, this was his final reward on benefiting a person with Bennett's burning passion. Bennett's name is derived from the Latin word benedictus, meaning blessed. His constellation, the Cataluminus, is the Latin word for wheel of misfortune. Fact 1. Bennett wrote an anonymous message on the Cattails message board, in which he confessed that he finds it difficult to take care of his dads in the Adventurers Guild alone. Fact 2. Bennett's birthday is February 29th. It is also known as Leap Day, as it only occurs every 4 years. Fact 3. Bennett is mentioned by the following NPCs. Jack mentions only a commissioned unlucky Bennett. Undertakes falls the most inexperienced ways. Arthur Chian over in Leeway has heard of Bennett for his notorious bad luck and says all that the skill in the world is meaningless if you don't have any luck. In Fact 4, he shares his English VA Christian V with Sean Queen, and who I also known for playing other favorite video game and anime characters, most notably Homura Academy and Megumi Yakuseiji. Yeah, good luck with those two. I just mentioned who have the same English VA as Bennett in your mind. If you know what the characters are and their personality, well, enough for that. I will start with the ending of this video. Well, we have come to the end of Bennett's story and the info of Genshin Impact. Thank you for watching. If you want to see more of this, like and subscribe, and put a comment down if you want any. I didn't really have made this video if it wasn't thanks to everyone who was working on the Genshin Impact fandom to make the characters and all that stuff, wiki fandom stuff. Anyways, this is Silver Chan signing out. Hope you don't get bad luck if you have Bennett on your team.